श्रेष्ठं मनुम् अपि शचीपुत्रम् अत्र स्वरूपम् रूपं तस्याग्रजम् उरुपुरीं माथुरीं गोष्ठवाचीम् राधा कुन्दं गिरिवरं महो राधिका माधवाशाम् प्राप्तो यस्य प्रसित कृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि। नेन्दन्तं पुलकोत्करेण विकसत् नीपप्रसूनच्छविम् प्रोज्झीकृत्य भुजद्वयं हरिहरीत्युच्चैर्वदन्तं मुहुः नृत्यन्तं द्रुतमश्रु निर्जरचयैः सिञ्चन्तमुर्वीथलम् गायन्तं निजपार्षदैः परिवृतं तं गौरचन्द्रं स्तुमः आलिभिः परिपालितः प्रवलितः सानन्दमालोकितः प्रत्याशंसुफल सुमनः फलोदय विधो सामोदमामुदितः वृन्दारण्यभुवि प्रकाशमधुर सर्वातिशायि श्रिया राधा माधवयो प्रमोदयतु माम् उल्लास कल्पद्रुमः राधा माधवयो प्रमोदयतु माम् उल्लास कल्पद्रुमः जय रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ ए छय गोसार करि चरण बंदन जहाँ होते विघ्ननाश अभीष्ट पूर्ण। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम राम जय श्री राधे। So, I'm still here. I'm stuck on 7.2. You wouldn't believe. Why? What is so special? That I not have to repeat myself. And for some reason or another, it doesn't get out. So now, one ponders on a subject if one has to repeat it. So, let's wake up the computer here. And we will ask once again, what's going on? All right. So, na kevalam shuddha chittatvam eva yogyata. All right. So, what is, we were told, the thing was, it was as well, what do I have to do in order to see God? Well, one thing is that you need to have a pure heart. Right? You have to be free of all kinds of other desires. Right? That goes without saying. No other desires. So that's a pretty tall order. So that's pure heart. But now he says, na kevalam shuddha chittatvam eva yogyata. He says it's not just the pureness of the heart that counts. So obviously the question is, what is it then? If that's not it, then what else is the yogyata? So what is the eligibility for seeing God? Now that's a bit of a more complicated question. All right, everybody. So you could say that the Chitta Shuddhi part is equivalent to the Brahma part. So negation of non-truth and establishing the truth. So to see God, we have to be transformed. To see Brahman is one thing, right? Through negation, one can come to a kind of an understanding of something that has no form, something that's all-pervading, something that I am part of and that you are part of and that every one of us is unified within. So to be part of the whole world, to feel one with the whole world. This is a noble thing. But he says, so that to be a pure-hearted, that will get you this kind of a feeling of unity with all of being. And that's a very good feeling. So, but the bhakti feeling is something that goes a little bit beyond that. Because what we're talking about is entering into relationship with Bhagavan. So getting into relationship, so that becomes a little bit more refined. It becomes a little bit more particular. It demands an adherence to particulars. And that is usually a cause of the problems, right? This adherence to particulars. And I like it my way. I like it this way. This is the way I like to think of God. This is the way that I like to think of the universe. This is the view of the universe that I hold to be the most ideal. And in that universe, love is the reigning factor. So how do we understand the universe of love? How do we encounter, how do we come face to face with this God of love? So, in actual fact, the Vaishnavas, they are the face. So, I was thinking already before whether to say it openly or not to say it openly. But obviously, the next part is about grace. So let's think about that a little bit. So tada bhakti vishesha. So kim tarhi. The question was, what the heck is it? Come on, don't leave us on the edge. Okay, cleaning the heart. We're all for cleaning the heart. So let's get out there and clean the heart. Let's become pure. If we want anything divine, we need to have a pure heart. Somehow or another, there must be something noble. That's okay. Vishuddha Chittatvam, that's okay. But that's not all, right? It's not just the business of scrubbing away at your heart, of penance, of suffering, of self-flagellation, of self-pity. Shuddha Chittatvam, Shuddha Chittatvam. Just fix the mind on Radha and Krishna's lotus feet, and the purity of mind will follow. So that is what he is going to say now. All right? Tad bhakti vishesha avishkrita tad ichamaya tadiya swaprakashata shakti prakasha eva mula rupa sa. Now this one was a wonderful one for reflection, right? Nice, big, long compound. So now we get into the mood of Sanskrit here with these big, long compounds. Right, what is it? Tad bhakti vishesha avishkrita tad ichamaya tadiya swaprakashata shakti prakasha eva mula rupa sa. So sa means what? Sa here means yogyata. So the qualification is really in its root form, mula rupa, at its very root. So even before there was chitta shuddhi, there was this. That's what the point he's making. Even before there was chitta shuddhi, there was this. What is that? Tad bhakti vishesh avishkrita. All right, so now this is a particular aspect that he's going to talk about of the internal potency. All right? So, tada bhakti vishesha avishkrita. So, a particular kind of bhakti. All right? So, a particular kind of bhakti, that when we talk about a particular kind of bhakti, then we're talking about two things, which will come up sooner rather than later. Yeah? We're talking about the, let's say, the depth or the quality or the particular intensity of love, and then the broader categories of love, the genres of love. So you have a genre of love, and so those genres of love, we generally refer to them as being the rasas, right? So five, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhur. And then within those, you have hierarchies of intensity. Going from prem, and then, sneha, and man, and pranaya, and rag, and anurag, and then bhav, and then all the different stages of bhava, and so on, right? So these are the stages, these are the sthai bhavas, the different kinds of sthai bhavas, the two kinds of sthai bhavas, really, it comes down to. All right, so it comes down to some tad bhakti vishesha. So the vishesha means particularizing bhakti. Bhakti needs to be particularized. If you don't, this is what the end of the Bhakti Sandarbha taught us about the Raganuga Bhakti. What the idea is to, how do you enhance, how does the intensity get enhanced? Tad bhakti vishesha, so you become attached to a particular kind of bhakti towards the Supreme. Bhakti in a particular flavor, and you become adept, and you follow that. So what happens when that intensifies? Then it avishkrita, then it uncovers. It uncovers tad ichhamaya, tadiya swaprakashata shakti prakasha eva. So that tad bhakti vishesha avishkrita tad ichhamaya. So what happens? When this particular kind of bhakti is there, it awakens in Krishna his ichha shakti, his desire for action, his will, if you will. So God's will is directed by the subjective mood of the devotee who has a taste for a particular kind of bhakti and wants it to such a degree that it moves the will of the Lord to respond to it. And when the will of the Lord is so moved, then he has a particular energy or a particular potency that he calls his swaprakashata shakti. It's his potency to reveal himself. So God, through the parampara, through traditions, through the revelations of saints, through the insights of the great saints who are the teachers of our parampara. So when this potency of the Lord to reveal itself, to reveal him, is so awakened, moved by the will of the Lord, which has been awakened by a particular intense and specific desire-based bhakti. I want to know you like this, right? The Vasudeva and Devaki types, right? We want to have you as our son. We want to hold you in our arms like a baby. We want to suckle you. We want to see you grow. That's the way we want to behold you, O Lord. Please enter into our womb as our son, so we can be your parents, so we can experience the affection of parents towards you. So that's a particular bhakti vishesha, right? So if that bhakti vishesha awakens in a particular person, and Bhagavan responds with an okay, here you got it. And what you have here is not just momentary, it's eternal. these moments that you have with me will be eternal moments that you will be able to return to at every moment through eternity. The bliss of what it meant to have me as your son. You'll feel that in the present tense every time it becomes your memory. So, tad bhakti vishesha abhishkrita tad ichamaya tadiya swaprakashata shakti prakasha. So it's the manifestation of that potency of self-revelation. That is what makes you yoga. That's what makes you capable of seeing God. You're capable of seeing God because a particular kind of devotion has so transformed you that it's moved the will of God to wish that he could reveal himself to you. And when that desire awakens in God, then what can stop it? It flows out from him towards you. So that is what makes you qualified. It's God's love for you that makes you qualified for God's love. This is a very strange thing, but that's the way that love works, right? We usually go where we are loved. So, we have this special potency of God's desire to reveal himself. So this is basically, we've heard this before, right? And I know I've said this before. Maybe I never said it. Maybe I said it in one of these many videos that didn't make it to your ears. But atak Sri Krishna namadi navaved grahyam indriyai sevon mukhe hijivado swayameva spuratyada. So, what does he say? He says, so now this is the main subject now that he's coming to in this section. Because yat prakashena tadapi nikshesham siddhyati. Yat prakashena tadapi nikshesham siddhyati. So the whole business of purity of the heart, he said that we need purity of the heart. He said, yeah, well, purity of the heart will come through God's revealing himself to you. Because when God reveals himself to you, then you do not want your mind to go elsewhere. You do not want your mind to go into sin. You don't want your mind to go into the tamo guha we were talking about the other day. Nakadapi tamo guhayam abhisat. Never went into the deep holes of tamo gun. That's pretty embarrassing. You want to see God, then you have to have broken with the tamogun in that sense. Pureness of the heart. That's what we want. But the pureness of the heart will come to its pinnacle when you see God. Right? So now let's just say right away that I am in favor of the idea that you see God gradually. Seeing God is a gradual process. There's a God here in Vrindavan that they call Banki Bihari. And they keep closing the curtains. They don't want you to look at him too long, because if you look at him too long, he's just so responsive to bhakti that he'll come and follow you and go away with you. So they don't give you the time to look at him for too long. And so everybody comes and they just try to look at Banki Bihari, just to stare at Banki Bihari, just to look at Banki Bihari. To get that eternal moment of eye-to-eye contact with God. Anyway, you have to be pure of heart. But if you see Bhagavan, then your purity of heart will follow, 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 follow. To the degree to which you see God, that is the degree to which your heart will become pure. So go for it. Go for it. Go gaze upon the form of God. Remember that Smeram Bhangi Trayi Parichitam. Now the Keshi Tirthopakante. Ma Prekshishta Sadisake. Tava Bandhu Sangesti Ranga. Don't go to see Govinda over there by Keshi Tirtha. No, 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 no. Don't go to see him. Not if you want to keep on going on with your materialistic way of life. Not if you want to spend the rest of your life just thinking about your family and friends and your kinsfolk and all the rest of your social circle. Yadi bandhu sangyesti ranga. If that's where your ranga is, if that's where your pleasure lies, then don't go to look at Govinda. Don't go to the temple and look at him. Don't go and train your vision on how to look for God. Right? People don't understand idol worship, right? They don't understand yoga, first of all. They don't understand the idea of just, basically the idea of trataka, of just gazing, trying to gaze at one object, to just stare at something, to just let yourself go and become hypnotized by that object. So you have these powerful deities in Vrindavan, Radha Raman, Banki Bihari, and Radha Vallabh, and these are the main ones. That people go and they become very attached. These deities that people become attached to them in some special way. Right? So, that is the deity form. People don't understand, they call it idol worship. Well, for the bhakti movement, this is actually, yes, idol worship. Okay, let's go for it. We can use the word idol worship because we say idol is, yes, that this is a representation of something else. But the divine can be represented symbolically. And so we recognize that the form of God that we choose is a symbolic thing of the way that we wish to interact with the God, with the way that we wish to see God, with the wish that we attempt to understand what is the ideal that is formulated by the idea of God. What the heck are we talking about when we talk about God? Right? What is it that we're aiming at here? Right? We want to see that thing. This is what we're going here and saying, we're going to see God. That's what we're out to do. Well, I'm going to stick to the outer part of the subject for the time being, and then when we get deeper into it, then we can discuss these particular aspects of things. But at any rate, he says that to the degree that Krishna reveals himself to you through this particular exercise of his energy, of his willpower, that is a response to your bhakti, which is all the goings on of the internal potency. It's the influence of the internal potency upon you. You've become one with the internal potency. And so you can act on God's will. You become in the position of an influencer. In the divine realm. To a certain degree, of course. Let's not go overboard. But anyway, yatat prakashena tadapi nikshesham. So he's going, so yatha antak sakshatkari. So this complete purification of the heart, this happens in the internal sakshatkar. So we've had the two kinds of sakshatkar, the internal and the external. So now here we're talking about the internal sakshatkar, and he repeats again a verse that we've seen before. It's one of these Upanishadic verses, because one of the first really Upanishadic verses that gets quoted in the Bhagavatam. So here and there's a sprinkling of, language that reminds us occasionally of the Upanishads. Throughout the Bhagavatam, Vedanta Upanishads, the language comes, it's written by someone who knows those texts and knows those sayings and things like that. Who knows that language of Advaita Vada. So, Yata antak sakshatkar, so vidyate hridaye grantis, chidyate sarva samshayah, kshiyante sarva karmani, drishta evatmanishvare. So he's repeated this verse before, so he doesn't even seize on the import, but the important words are drishta evatmanishvare. So atmani here means internally. Drishta means seen, and Ishvara means God. So God being seen within. That's what it says. So when God is seen within, so this is in the when this verse appears in the Upanishads, it's a very high level of realization there. And so also it's told that this is a basis, because this verse appears right in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, second chapter, first canto. So right away he's telling us we have this Vedanta base. We're not going to forget our Vedantic base here. So our Vedantic base is that we are Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. And that the knots on the heart are going to be untied. All the doubts will be removed. All one's bonds of karma will be let loose as soon as one has seen the divine truth within oneself. So vidyate hridaya granthi chidyate sarva samshaya kshiyante sarva karmani drishta evatmanishvare. So very beginning of the Bhagavatam, right? Of Sutta Goswami's speech. So that's for the internal sakshatkar. So what we're doing is we're reading again, because each time I have to read through this again, and every single time I say, didn't I change this before? So here we are, we're reading the translation as it is going to appear, or when I send this document to the next stage in editing. So I'm being a little bit possessive about what I do. So I hope that will not be a disturbance to the rest of the team, because certainly I do it in order to further the goals of the team. So let's see here. But it is not only purity of heart that makes one eligible for Bhagavat Sakshatkar. Then what is? Indeed, the very root of eligibility is the manifestation of Bhagavan's power of self-revelation, which is in the form of his will and made to appear by the loving devotion to him. So it's interesting that in English we have to go backwards. In Sanskrit we go forwards. So in Sanskrit you're starting with the root cause, right? In English we work backwards. So you're looking at it, we think, oh, Sanskrit is backwards. Then you think, oh no, maybe English is backwards. But at any rate, in either case, take the entire thought. The very root of eligibility is the manifestation of Bhagavan's power of self-revelation, which is in the form of his will and made to appear by a particular loving devotion to him. That particular loving devotion to him, that's going to have to take a kind of a term with a specific meaning. And by its manifestation, complete purity of the heart is also achieved. So that was the whole thing. So the problem is complete purity of the heart. So if we see it in degrees or if we see it all at once, you see, that's the point. If we see it in degrees, well, that's something different now. Do we see God in degrees? Do I see more God today than I saw yesterday? That's the sadhana? How do I see the face of God in everything that I do? So that's the power of revelation. That is God's own power and is activated by one's devotion to him. So if that comes, then all other worries about purification of heart are no longer necessary. So vidyate hridaya grantis chidyate. So it says, by its manifestation, complete purity of the heart is also achieved. This is shown in the case of internal realization by the following statement. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyate sarva samshayah chidyante sarva samshayah kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. As soon as one sees God in one's heart, the knot of the heart is cut asunder. All doubts are dispelled, and one's karma is burnt. Kshiyante, maybe not burnt. Kshiyante means waste away. Kshaya, they go to naught. So tata bahika sakshatkari pi si sankarshanam prati chitra ketu vakye nahi bhagavan aghatitamidam tvad darshanan nranam akila papa kshaya. So that's also another thing. So for external vision of seeing God with the external senses. So this is Sankarshanam speaking to, that's Chitraketu, speaking to Sankarsana after seeing Sankarsana with his own eyes. He says, Nahi Bhagavan Aghatitam idam tvad darshatnat nrinam akila papa kshaya. All sins are destroyed through seeing you. So there is nothing that is outside the realm of possibility. The whole verse is actually Nahi Bhagavan Agatitam Idam Tvada Darsanam Akila Papakshaya Yananama Sakrita Shravanat Pukashopi Vimuchyate Samsarat. Nahi Bhagavan agatitamidam tvada darsanan ranang akila papakshayah Yananama Sakrita Shravana Pukashopi Vimuchyate Sansara. Right. So it's not surprising, O Bhagavan, that all the sins of men are destroyed by having a vision of you. For even an outcast is freed from bondage to the material world simply by hearing your name just once. What a loud claim for the holy name. I think it's another rhyme for my ongoing song. The game of the name is prem. That's its claim. So the prem, the game of the name is prem. So yananama sakritya shravanat pukashopi vimuchyate sangsara. That just by hearing the holy name once, a pukasha, a person addicted to a sinful kind of way of life, that person is also liberated from his material bondage simply by hearing the name once. So what else can be astonishing? What cannot be achieved if one sees Krishna, Narayan, directly with his own eyes? Then what impurity can be left? So this whole thing about Chitraketu. So this is in the prayers of Chitraketu. So whether that's of any great significance here or not. At any rate, this is the Chitraketu story in the same chapter where the child reveals that it's been his particular karmic destiny to remain in that family for the period of time that he was born, and that between the time that he was born and died. And so there was no need for anyone to feel attached. And then he was merely moving on to his next destiny. So everyone should pray for him and hope for his speedy arrival at his next destiny. But in such a state of knowledge. So there was no need for that child to be born again. So that's in the story of Chitraketu. So in Chitraketu, he himself, and when the dead baby says all these things, the mothers, the stepwives who had plotted to kill the child, they all repented. But Chitraketu himself decided to renounce material life. And he took his instruction from Narada. So through his sadhana, Chitraketu became the king of the Gandharvas. And then he goes on to have audience with Sankarshan. And he gets a darshan and offers his prayers. So these are the prayers of Chitraketu to Sankarshan. Dehendriya pranamano dhiyomi yadangsha vidha prachayanti karmasu naivanyadalohamiva prataptam stani shutaddrashtrapadeshamesti. Dehendriya pranamano dhiyomi यदंश विदधा प्रचरन्ति कर्मसु नैवान्यदालोहम् इवा प्रतप्तं स्थानेषु तदद्रष्ट्यपदेशमेति. So no one can achieve the ability to see God. Just like iron has to be heated in order to have the power of fire. The power of fire has to come into the iron rod, then the iron rod can be used for burning. So, in the same way, the capacity to see God, to become His drashta, to be a seer, that requires a transformation of the senses. So how is that? The deha, indriya, prana, mano, dhiyo, ami, yad angsha vidha pracharanti karmasu. That they are engaged in various tasks, the body, the senses, the life airs, the mind, the intelligence, all of these, they're all connected. They're to the angsha, to Bhagavan's angsha, and are engaging in karmas. Yadangsha vidha. So they are Bhagavan's angshas. And they're engaged in karmas, and they're bound in karmas. And they cannot see the presence of God. Just like iron cannot be used for burning until it has been heated in the fire. Similarly, the senses have to be transformed by God's internal potency in order to be able to see God. Another one is quoted somewhere else. I was just going through them and seeing what are the greatest hits. You'll excuse me, this is sometimes just a research adventure and not a genuine Vaishnava lecture. So here, I was just checking out to see which are the hits, the greatest hits of this series of verses. In other words, which ones have been quoted and which ones are liked in general by Vaishnava authors like Chaitanya Charitamrita and so on. At any rate, this verse is quoted later on in Priti Sandarbha. So, ajita jitaha samamati bihi sadhu bhir bhavan jitatma bhir bhavata vijitastepi cha bhajatam akamatmanam ya atmadoti karunaha. Ho ho ho. No translation, I have to go off the cuff translation here. Well, this is also from the same section. So here it says, Ajita jataha jitaha samamati bihi sadhu bihi bhavan jitatma bhir bhavata vijitas tepi cha bhajatam akamatmanam ya atmado ti karunaha. So you are unconquered, but somehow you do become conquered. Let's have a look at that commentary. Why don't we have a look at it? If we can find it here. Here we go. So, what do we have? So here, this is the first of the prayers, right? So, ajita jitaha samamati bihi sadhu bhir bhavan jitatma bhir bhavata vijita sate pi cha bhajatam akamatmanam ya atmadoti karunaha. Hey ajita, Sridhar. He ajita, anyair ajitopi bhavan sadhubhir bhaktair jitaha swadhina eva kritaha. Okay, big principle of bhakti here, right? So, He ajita, the unconquered one, you are unconquered by others, but by the sadhus, by the devotees. You are conquered. That means that they subjugate you. Why? Yato bhavan ati karuna. Because you are very kind. Tepi chanishkama api bhavata vijita. So, and also they, because they have no other desire, are conquered by you. Yo bhavan akamatmanam atmanam eva dadati. Because you give yourself to those who have no desire other than you. So that's a thought that's in Chitraketu's speech. So that's but the point, the one that we were getting from the important one here that we were in was Nahi Bhagavan Aghatitamidam Tvadadarshana Trinam Akila Papakshaya. All impurities are cast aside once one has darshan of the Lord. So, another one. Prahlad, Nrsimha speaks to Prahlad. Mam apri natahi ayushman darshanang durlabhang hime drishtva mam na punarjantur atmanam taptamarhati. O child, may you be blessed with long life, Ayushman. It is very difficult for one who does not love me to see me, for after seeing me just once, a creature should never suffer again from unfulfilled desires. And another one from Shruta Dev, speaking to Bhagavan. I went and looked at these, so we'll come back. Satvang Shadhi Swabhrityanna King Deva Karavamahe Etadanto Nunam Klesho Yad Bhavan Akshigo Charaha. In the words of King Shrutadev to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, O Deva, please instruct us, your servants, in what we should do for you. When you appear in front of the eyes of human beings, all their troubles meet an end. So we're deep into it now, the idea of Bhagavan Sakshatkar. And I think that the idea has been introduced now, that there's a degree of seeing God. And part of the understanding of sadhana is to understand how that works. How does the mind become qualified to see God? Of course, you have to think it's worthwhile seeing God. You have to think that seeing God has some value to it. It has some ultimacy to it. In terms of human purpose, that all human purposes can be subsumed to seeing God. And if one sees God according to the way that one sees God, one will serve God. And if one serves God with purity of heart, then only good will come from their actions. So we're going to dwell on this a little bit more. Today we'll just give it a call in a day here. And we'll go on with the next one as soon as possible. Jai Sri Radhe.